All right, welcome back. We're up here with Dan at Whitetail Warriors. We've been up here all weekend doing some deer scouting and just hanging out, enjoying the time at camp. Unfortunately, we got our day cut probably just close to about half
Yep.
by these monsoon rains that rolled in and thunderstorms. I don't know if you can hear them rumbling, but
It's raining pretty good out there now.
which is good because it kind of cooled the temperature down in here. Last night was she was a hot box in here sleeping.
So did this when we were all lathered up in soap.
That's a different story.
You want to see that? Check out the part 1 of Whitetail Warriors Deer Camp video here. So, Dan, when did I know you said this camp, the actual structure's been here since the 40s.
Yeah.
When did you guys take over it? Because I believe you said your dad bought it, correct?
1989, my dad took ownership of this. In 1990, I shot the first deer up here.
You shot the first deer, period.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then it was the first deer and the first buck. You know. And that's a deer that I'll never forget because he was here, and you know, it was just a special moment. That, in fact, I have that deer mounted at home. It's the only spike I have mounted, but it's holds a lot of special memories. But yeah, 1989, my dad bought it. Deer camp used to be in Grayling. That's where it started in 73 with my dad and my brother, some of my dad's friends, and some of my brother's buddies. 73, my dad, and then they rented cabins on the Osabo River. Then I came along, our first year of deer hunting was 1982, and I got to hunt there 1 year, and then the people that he rented the cabins from sold. So then we rented a cabin in Gaylord that my dad worked with a guy, and then my brother worked for the state police, retired out of the state police. He got transferred up here. So, long story short, he got to talking to another trooper that also got transferred up here, that had a camp for sale. And he was a trooper down by Flint. And he got transferred up here, so him and my brother got to talking and said his camp was for sale, and the rest is history.
Nice.
So, and we lost Dad in 06, and it's mine and my brother's now. So, yes, it's small, as you can tell, but it's deer camp.
Well, as my mother would say, it's cozy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You know.
And here, I love the gas lamps. You know.
Yeah.
Those
So we
are-
just replaced all that, you know, because all these other ones up here, like the gas company guy told me, he said they look like they were the original ones from the camp. And what happens is those lines get plugged,
Okay.
and we tried to use a high-powered blower, and it didn't succeed. And that one quit working, it would just flicker. That one over there behind you, gas would come out of the outside up there where it's mounted.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one that worked all right was that one there. So the gas company came in and put them two there, only one's lit, and put these two here and then one in the bedroom. The one in the bedroom got replaced because we had a leak that my brother could smell. I couldn't smell it. And he didn't want to stay here, so he rigged it with a bunch of gunk. And well, before that, he put soap up there, and it started to bubble.
Okay.
So I said, you know,
Couldn't figure out why you were sleeping like a rock, huh?
yeah. But we did put new lights in here, and then our gas propane tanks are over here. They used to be behind the camp, so we had them moved over
Just a
here.
shorter route for it.
Yeah. So and then, yeah, they're the gas tanks are part the reason why we had them do it is because if there's a problem, let me back up. At one point in time, they quit coming out taking your tanks. You had to take them tanks into them,
Okay.
which was a pain because you gotta stand them up. If they're not standing up, they won't take them.
Yeah.
So that's bumpy road, and you're tying them down, take them there. And so when they came out here and did this project, it got certified. So now,
well, you said it kind of takes some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like fault. You don't have to worry so much that okay, it's certified, so
So they'll come now and they'll come out with a truck, take my tanks, and then go away what's left in there, and then charge us accordingly on the next.
And those are 100-pounders.
100-pounders.
Yeah, because we got
every 2
we got
years.
a 100-pounder by us that we have hooked solely to our grill.
Yeah.
We do a lot of grilling at camp.
Yeah. So it's about every 2 years we get them filled. But I'm using the gas for the stove and the lights. And back when we bought the camp, there was a gas-powered refrigerator in here that it never hardly worked, and the lines got all plugged from the mice.
Okay. Yeah, and you were telling us earlier when you were making breakfast that the original stove that was in here was like 3 times the size.
It was,
and it was actually like a wood stove too, huh?
Yeah, you could burn it with wood or the propane, but it got to the point where we'd light one burner and the opposite side would light.
Yeah, some of your valves were a little burnt out, I think.
Yeah.
But that thing in that stove that was in here was an ancient stove, and I don't know, I can't remember how we got it out of here, and it went right to the scrapyard.
Well, like you said, I mean it's perfect for what you guys need, and it takes up way less space.
Yep. The only thing I've never used in it is the oven part, because the oven part is hard to start. It's hard to light.
Kind of like where we turkey camp in central Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
Yeah, something like
The
that.
cabin that we stay at there, it's got the gas stove like that, and he's like, you can use the stove top, it's really easy, you just turn it and it goes on, and he's like, but I don't recommend. He's like, you see that hole? There was a hole in the wall, like a concave in the wall. He's like, you see that? It was directly across from the stove, and we're like yeah. He's like, yeah. One of the guys up here one time was trying to make a pizza, tried to light it, and let the gas go way too long before he hit the torch or hit the lighter. Fireball! I blew him straight across the room. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we'll just bring pizza ovens or something.
Yeah.
Or actually,
No,
we've been making pizzas on the grill and stuff like that. That turns out real good.
and then like another couple of the upgrades we did, we had a problem with the roof. We got a new roof now; it's a metal roof. And then my son and his buddies and I put that new lean-to on. Before we just had this, but we needed that other lean-to, and we put that on. So.
Yeah, and of course it's raining, but tomorrow I'll go out and I'll take some pictures around camp just to kind of give you an idea what the outside looks like. Because, we've been watching Dan's videos for years, and it's kind of nostalgic for us to come when we turn the corner in the brush there coming up the hill. You see the red camp. It's like, yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's totally different. It's a lot of thick brush here. A lot of lowland, swampy, there's a lot of that around here.
That it is, us coming from, northeast Wisconsin, where we live and hunt, which it's generally a flat land there, but it's a lot of farm. Up to our camp in northern Wisconsin, which is it's up and down, and when you were there, you experienced.
Oh yeah. The first time
we
were walking. I go, holy shit! I'm like, where the hell are we going? Up this big mountain. I'm like, oh, whoa.
First day, he accused me of trying to kill him. He's like, you invited me over here to kill me. But yeah, this is it. When me and Jake, when we were pulling in, we were a couple miles from camp. I'm like, it's like you're entering a whole different world up here.
Yeah.
It's peaceful back here. When I say that is, you're not gonna see the hunters that you witness in Wisconsin. And part of that is, we know, it's the dogs. But, you know, years ago, my road, there was tent campers and campers all the way 11 miles to where it ends. You don't see that no more. You know, you just, opening day, sometimes you might not even hear a shot. You know.
I know, speaking for me personally, it's going to be
different.
It's going to be different, and quite frankly, I think it's going to be a welcoming sight. You know, we were talking last night about, you know, like by us, opening day, that's your best shot. Yeah. You know, after that, the deer kind of know what's up. There's four-wheelers running around. There's people walking around. They know. But they know something's up. So every day here is kind of like opening day.
Like for an example, where we set you up today, there's probably deer back there that's never seen a human. You know.
Yeah. I mean, we're a long ways in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, and especially where he's at. You know, that's another that Finger Ridge there we went on.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
I mean, look at how the deer we saw acted. They just stood there and looked at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere else.
Oh, they've gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy.
They would have bolted.
I find it fascinating up here that the so-called roads, our ATV trails by our cabin are better conditioned than your roads up here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of times where we're going through and it's like, well, okay, it looks like the truck's getting some scratches here because, you know, you're going through and it's narrow and you come to another truck, you're looking quick to dip and try to find a spot to tuck into the woods so they can go by.
But no, it's hard hunting up here. I will say that. And even just because we're allowed to bait up here, okay, that doesn't guarantee you nothing.
No.
You know, I came up here and hunted for 2 weeks solid straight for 2 weeks and had bait out and never seen a deer. You know, so, and I've also shot deer up here without bait.
Yeah.
You know, but the only real true test of any oak trees is where you're going to be. There's 7 of them clustered all right together right there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw all the tops from last year, you know, so, and we saw them in the trees, so, you know, there's acorns there.
They'll be dropping later.
So, another question I got for you is, so this year, granted, if all goes well, we'll have, what do we figure, 7 of us?
7 of you, and then there'll be me, my son, and one of his buddies. The other buddy isn't coming because his dad or his uncle got a elk permit in Michigan.
So that'll be 10 of us.
That's the most I've ever had here was 6, and they're all. And you're bringing something extra to sleep in. Now I had 6 guys in here. That's back when I had bunk beds.
Yeah.
You know, where there was more room, but you were still trampling over everybody's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Usually for deer camp, it's 4 of us and possibly my brother. You know, now my brother sort of lost interest in deer hunting when we lost our dad. Okay, so, and that's understandable. Mm-hmm. He comes out here now for deer camp to see his nephew, which is my son. And that's his,
I understand that.
You know, so, I mean, you know, he don't take up no room because mostly stays is 2 days and he's gone.
Yeah.
He just don't want to, you know, and he's always going around the corner because we still got my dad's hunting suit hanging from, you know, his last physical hunt up here was in 2004. Then he got to the point where he couldn't come no more. And he was in bad shape. And his final wishes to me was, I want you to go, to me and my brother, I want you guys to go deer hunting, go to deer camp, blah, 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 and which I did. And then he died while I was up here. You know, I get a lot of grief for that. I still do, 18 years later, but I did what he wanted me to do.
I mean, you gotta, like you said, I can see it both ways, how, you know, your brother kind of connects this with the loss, you know, which, you know, you do too, but this is also your way of honoring him.
Yep.
You know, and it comes out in your videos, which, I mean,
you've
shot, how many bucks is it now on that anniversary date?
6.
You know,
On the 17th of November.
it's like you said, it's a magical time that when that date rolls around,
Yeah.
you got to keep your head on a swivel because you know he's pushing something your way.
The last 3 or 4 years, I haven't seen a deer until the 17th of November. You know, and like, it's kind of rough. Well, I was talking with him before that buck came last year, you know, and then all of a sudden here he comes out of that ridge, you know, over the ridge, and you know,
I hear you, man, and he said when the time comes when my pops is no longer able to do it, it's gonna tear me up because he's
Yeah.
the whole reason we do it, you know, and
you know, my dad, you know, like I cooked breakfast for you guys today. My dad did all that.
yeah,
You know, so in the dinner, and, you know, like, I don't cook dinner until everybody's in case we got to go out and track a deer or something. But
yeah,
that was with my dad. My dad wasn't hardcore like all of us guys are, you know, 5 o'clock or before it got dark. He wouldn't go out. He wouldn't leave camp until it was daylight out. You know, oh, you can't shoot them in the dark. You know, that was his philosophy. So we'd come in from hunting, dinner be on the table.
yeah,
Because that was my dad, you know, and then he didn't want help doing the dishes, but we helped. But,
yeah,
you know, and then he'd go in there. That's back when we had TV. We didn't have this digital crap. We had analog. We had an antenna outside. We got like 8 channels.
yeah,
And he'd be in there watching the news or, you know.
yeah.
But, no, it's, he's missed quite a bit up here.
Well, I can see, you know, just in your raw emotion now, where your passion for deer camp has come from.
Yeah.
And like you said, we have the same connection. That it's the love of deer camp. It's passed on, you know, from generation to generation, and sadly, it's being lost.
Yeah. The deer camp's a dying breed.
Absolutely.
And this, as long as I'm alive, this will be deer camp. You know, like I've told you guys before, I've told other people before, if all it was to kill a deer, I'd stay home. Because I got, well, you saw pictures.
Yeah.
I got big bucks at home that I'm going to pass up to come up here to go deer hunting. But it's deer camp.
Exactly.
You know, and deer hunting, in my eyes, down home, is totally different than coming in here with your muddy boots on and, you know, scratching yourself somewhere or passing gas. You know, you do that, you can't do that at home.
Yeah.
You know, you come in and your wife's yelling at you because you got muddy boots on. You know, it's just, you know, I love deer hunting, either whether it's here or down home, but it's totally different at a deer camp.
Absolutely.
Whether it's here in Wisconsin or northern Lormet, it's deer camp.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, to me, is a dying breed, especially up here now. I mean, you got guys selling camps left and right because of the dogs, and our DNR don't want to do nothing about it. And of course, your guys is probably the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, so we were talking yesterday how, you know, and like this afternoon we were just basically just riding around in the truck looking at different areas because it's been raining for the last 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, but like we'd pass this spot. Well, there used to be a camp there, and there used to be a camp there. You know, and it's sad. You know, and a lot of times you got the older generation who unfortunately is passed on.
Yeah.
You know, and those were the ones who really, you know, they got the troops together. Let's go to camp. Let's do this. You know, and they passed on.
But like here in Michigan, for example, back when I started rifle hunting, I'm not talking bow and arrow, I'm rifle hunting.
Mm-hmm.
They used to sell over 750,000 rifle tags.
Yep.
That's just rifle tags. And I don't know, I forgot the year they went to this joint where it's archery. Like you guys are going to buy a deer tag.
Yeah.
That's what it's called now. Now you can use that tag for archery
either
or rifle. And now they're selling in the 550,000 range. Okay. So now look at all that. Look at you know. And granted, a lot of guys are fed up with Michigan's DNR, and it's not just the DNR; it's the NRC, who are basically appointed from the governor, and they don't have a clue. They don't listen to us hunters. They don't have a clue of anything. They sit behind a desk, and they got a piece of paper on the wall that says they're a biologist or some shit. They don't know nothing. You know, and people are fed up because there's, you know, they want all these does killed, but yet they still want to charge you $20 a tag. Okay, back in the day, you had to apply. You paid $5. You had to apply for a doe license. If you were lucky, they sent it to you in the mail.
Yeah.
You know,
so and like in Wisconsin, back in the day, we had a thing called a hunter's choice permit that you'd have to apply for if you were fortunate enough to get it. You got that hunter choice permit. You still only have one tag, but it was your choice. You could either use that to shoot a buck, or you could fill it with a doe. You know, we didn't have. I mean, now, like granted, so like up by our camp, we get it. It's technically buck only with limited doe tags that you have to apply for.
That's like
or go on and try to purchase at the certain date. But like down home where we hunt, what do we get, Jake?
You get 9 of them.
9 doe tags.
Yeah.
With our when we buy our archery tag,
archery and gun tag.
I'm like, it's just ridiculous.
They give you 9.
Just give you them.
Okay, now here in Michigan, you can shoot up to 10 deer legally, but you have to pay $20 doe tags. So, you know, that's a lot of cabbage.
When we buy it, I don't know, what is it, $24?
$24 for your
I think it might have went up this year or whatever, but it's $24. So like you $24 for your archery tag, $24 for your gun tag, and with them, you get 5, 6, 7, whatever doe tags tacked onto that right away with that $24.
Yep.
So you guys still have an archery tag and a
we
rifle
have an archery
tag.
tag and a rifle tag. It's not lumped into one.
Yeah, ours is all one. You know, and they're not selling. They're not selling. They don't know how many archery hunters there are, and they don't know how many rifle hunters there are because they got rid of that and combined it. And like I said before, when I started deer hunting, there was 750,000, if not more, just in rifle tags. And anybody watching this from Michigan knows the expressway I-75, like from the November 12th or 13th, was a parking lot all the way north from down where I live. All the way north, it was bumper to bumper. And then they had deer check stations at the rest stops on the way home. They don't even have that no more. Granted, the deer hunting is better in southern Michigan than it is in the northern 2/3 of the state and then up here. You know, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, back before the dogs were everywhere, you'd go out and see 10, 15 deer a sit. I mean, I got logbooks that can prove that when we started in the 90s, we were seeing that many deer.
Yeah.
You know, now, lately, it's, if you're lucky, you'll probably see 10 in a week. You know.
Which, for us, that's
a lot of deer.
that's better than we see, but.
But that, however, that's putting your time in, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because, like my son and myself, we'll sit all day. You know, we bring our food with us and we'll sit all day.
Yeah.
You know, but, and there's pros and cons of sitting all day, but you wait all year for it to get here, you know.
In a blink of an eye, it's over.
Yeah.
We say that every year. It's like we plan for it and wait for it. You get up there, you want to load the truck, and it's like you're loading the truck back up and you're heading home already.
Yeah. But no, it's, you know, deer camps is a dying breed. And I don't know if it's just here in Michigan or like Pennsylvania used to be big too, you know. But
well, I remember reading a statistic somewhere that I think it was like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, not combined, just each state individually, the opening day of firearm season was the largest armed force in the world. You know, for the amount of hunters that were out in the woods with guns, you know.
Like up here in some parts of northern lower Michigan, but up here I know there ain't a school district open on opening day.
Yeah.
You try to do that down home where I live. What are you talking about? You know, they're trying to get a legislation passed now where they can teach hunter safety in the schools. But I don't see that going anywhere because they are, you know, back my mom would call school and say, Dan's going to be gone deer hunting for. You do that now, and they want to call the cops. You know, I said back when my son, she goes, well, school's going to frown. I don't give a what school says. You know, this is a tradition in this state of Michigan that I know of. I don't know about other states, but you know, but schools down home, they don't look at it that way. You know, oh, it's a gun. Oh my God, blah 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 blah. But up here, the school districts in the whole UP, there's no school open on opening day because nobody's gonna be there.
Yeah.
You know.
And I grew up with the same mentality. You know, granted, when we were younger, we would, you know, our parents would pull us out of school. We'd talk to the teachers. We'd get our homework ahead of time. We'd bring it up to camp with us. We'd do our homework. You know, but
I did that too.
You know, but you know, like Jake, for instance, he didn't grow up in the deer camp world. You know, but he started coming up with us now 10, 12 years, and he loves it. I think he's got more camp spirit than half of us do. You know.
But I could have very easily just, you know, threw everything in the towel and said I'm done. You know, when I lost my dad, but I don't think he would have wanted that because he knew. Because see, back, my mom and dad and brother and that. They didn't think I'd get into it because I didn't show no interest. You know, I was more baseball, sports related. You know, I'd rather play wiffle ball or something with, you know. And then they were shocked how I took a hold of it. You know, because they didn't think I was, you know, gonna do it. But like I said, I could have easily just threw it all in and we could have sold this place. And then what do? Then that would have been another deer camp gone.
Yeah.
But it's just deer camps are dying breed, and I'm doing my best to keep this alive with my son. And you know, I've taken grief because I let him, you know, play video games. I let him run to the casino, or I let him whatever keeps him happy to come.
Absolutely.
If I want to put my foot down and say no, you're not doing that. No, you're not going here. He's gonna say, well, screw you. I'm not going up deer camp anymore.
You know, and that's, I mean, we've said that for years, that if you want more kids to be involved, you got to keep it fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, like you said, since the wolves have moved in by us, it's hard. You know, no kid's going to want to come out and sit in freezing cold temperatures all day and maybe catch a glimpse of a deer.
You know, that's like in Michigan. I'm all for the youth hunt. Okay, but they do the youth hunt in September. Okay, well, it's 90 degrees out.
Yep.
Do the youth hunt in November, or do the youth hunt in December.
Yeah.
When it's cold. You know, because they're doing the youth hunt and they thought, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, they can sit in their t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, let them do the youth hunt when it's a different time of year. You know, because I know youths, they went 1 or 2 years and they don't even do it no more.
Yeah, exactly. We saw the same thing, and it's hard. Like you said, kids don't want to sit out there all day and not see nothing.
You know, like I brought this up with Camp Benny in one of our chats. Us guys didn't grow up with cell phone generation. We had maybe a bag phone. Okay, but that's all these kids want to do is play on their phones.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like down home. Back down home, we played outside till we couldn't see. Wiffle ball or basketball or whatever. We did something else. You can't get kids outside anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and but like Ben said, we didn't grow up. We probably would have been the same way. But it's hard to, hard to tell.
It's hard to
But
say.
that cell phone has changed a lot of things.
Some things for the better. Some things, like you said, I mean, we relied on our cell phones and our offline maps on Onyx. We relied on them all day today.
Yeah.
You know, without that, you're back to the old compass and, okay, let's start trekking this way.
And I still carry a compass with me.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I can't say it would never happen, but I don't think I'd ever get lost, because for 40 some years I've been, you know, I know waypoints and I know different things. I may get turned around,
Yeah.
But I know what to do if I do get lost. Not to panic and not to, but I try to tell my son, you got to get up there and, don't rely on me to find you spots all the time. But they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I could easily say, screw you, do it yourself. But as you guys know, I enjoy it for one, but get out and you'll find more areas. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I got in my truck and I drove all these roads around here. And I got county plot maps at home before Onyx became available, and to see who was private and who, because a lot of the privates up here ain't posted.
Yep.
But we're talking thousands and thousands. Where we're sitting right now, we're talking thousands of acres of state and federal land and paper company.
Crazy when you pull up Onyx and you look at how much public land there is around us where we sit right now.
And that's just this little area of the UP. The UP is pretty big, and it's like that all over, But just like that camp I just showed you, 100 acres, they sold it for $90,000.
God,
about 4 years ago.
with a cabin on it.
Yeah, 100 acres. That's less than $1,000 an acre.
Yeah, you can't touch land by not so much up by our deer camp land it's still expensive, but like down home, 10 grand an acre.
Yeah, and another thing too that I've never really witnessed it, but I hear a lot of guys talking about it, is the access to hunt. Okay, well downstate where I live, farmers are charging buku bucks to hunt their property.
Yep. There's a lot of spots. I'm sure it's the same in Michigan. There's a lot of spots in Wisconsin, and we've hunted a lot of places that it is slowly but surely becoming a rich man's sport. That if you want to hunt the good land, you got to fork over the money.
And that's a shame. But yet, then again, you can't. Well, hell, if he's getting it, more power to you.
Yeah.
However, and I know I'm not going to mention any names, but I know people that don't do that, but yet complain because there's so many deer ruining their crops. But yet you knock on the door, oh hell, you ain't hunting here. And part of that is the liability, and you can't blame them for that. But they're not given access. But yet they're complaining there's so many deer. In Michigan, there are areas with a lot of deer. I will say that. But there are areas, excluding the UP, there are areas down there that don't have as many deer as the state says it does. Mm-hmm. So they're handing out, they're handing out all these doe permits. They want all these does killed. Back in the day, you bought a doe permit for, like the county I live in, St. Clair County. Okay, that doe permit was only good for St. Clair County. And now, a couple years ago, they made it universal. So you could take that doe permit and hunt anywhere in the northern lower with that doe permit. So now they're universal. So you're not going in and asking for Gratiot County or Chippewa or it don't matter. It's all universal.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be, because there ain't a lot of deer in certain pockets of the state that they say there is. But you'll never convince the NRC, who makes up all the rules. People think it's the DNR. Well, the DNR sends suggestions to them, but they got the final say in anything.
Yeah.
So. But no, the deer camp. I'm worried about Dan, and that's it. Let's put it that way. If Joe this don't want to come, I'm still coming. I spent deer camp up here once for 2 weeks by myself. I will never stop. I've quit jobs before that would give me time off work to go deer hunting.
Oh yeah.
That was back way before I was married, but and I even told my wife before we got married, I says, I deer hunt. And I used to be a big time snowmobiler. And I said, you're not going to stop either one of them. Well, the snowmobiling I gave up because it got too expensive. They're $20,000-$30,000 for a snowmobile now, just like a side by side.
Yep.
And then the gas, and then to stay somewhere, because you can't come back here in the wintertime, because that's an unplowed county road.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get a snowmobile truck and trailer back here in the wintertime. You know, so I can't really stay here. But I'm just, you know, and then this may be funny, but I planned my kids around deer hunting.
Same.
You know, so my kids were born in the springtime.
Yep.
You know, but I told her all this way before I said, don't, because I've gotten friends that got married and they no longer hunt. You know, I had a guy up here once, 3 years in a row, 3 years. He had AT&T. Well, the one year, his buddy called him and said, hey, your girlfriend's at the bar, you know, blah, 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 blah. 3 hours later, he left and never told me.
Oh.
I come in from hunting, the cabin's pitch black. We were hunting in different spots. His truck wasn't here. No note on the table. You know, so I got in my truck and I went into where I could get phone service and I said, what's up? Oh, I had to leave. Someone's. I'm like, really? So he left and did the same thing the following year. And then the following year after that, you know. And now he just got married to her.
No, oh boy.
So his deer hunting's is done. You know, and then I've had guys come up here.
That's a man that's got his priorities all messed up.
Then I had another guy up here one other time, back in the early 2000s. Came in here and threw his gun on the couch. Said we're going home. We're up here for 2 weeks. That's the third day. Said we're going home. There ain't no goddamn deer up here. Blah blah blah. I sat right where I'm sitting right now. So he's packing. Stops. Says, well, what are you doing? Ain't you gonna? I said, no, the only thing I got to pack is my guns and that generator, because I said, as soon as we get home, I'm going to get in my truck and turn around and come back. I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, whether we get a deer or not. I'm on vacation. I'm not going home because I haven't seen a deer.
Yeah.
You know, he was all pissed, you know. But, no, it's my home away from home. Deer camp. And everybody at work, everybody knows, you know, I'm going. We got invited to a wedding a couple years ago. I said, "Have fun." You know, I said, "I'm not going." Well, I said, "I don't have to do nothing."
As well, Jessica and Molly can both, you know, put their words on this. That we've missed plenty of things because hunting trips were going, or you know, this season, that season, and they've hit a point. You know, we're at a point in our relationship that they understand that. You know, you're not going to stop us from hunting.
Well, she said something to me the other day. She says, because I was on YouTube, she goes, is that all you do is think about deer hunting and this and that? And I looked at her and I said, yeah. I said, I'm constantly thinking about it all year long. You know, like the end of this coming up season, I'll be making plans for next year already. Yeah. When I'm coming up here, what I'm doing, and, you know, and I tell a guy, well, when are you going? I said, there ain't no when are you going. This is when, you know, deer hunting is. Do you want to go? And I get this, well, I don't know. I got to see what's going on. Well, you don't want to go. You know, if you really want to go, you know, unless you got a death in the family or something, that's something totally different. But if you can't decide if you're going to go deer hunting or not, then you're not going.
Yeah.
That's the, you know, so I'm planning it all year long. Now, when you had called me and said, hey, is that invitation open? Well, hell yeah, it's open. I made arrangements to make it be open, you know. So, you know, and then I said to my son, I said, well, are you coming? Because usually they're followers. Because the one guy didn't come one. No, he's follower. You follow, the one don't go, then the other don't go, then the other, you know, so I thought I need to know if you're going because there's 3 spots that I can give to them guys from Wisconsin. Oh yeah, I'm coming, but I'm only gonna come and Lee. I said, so he's not coming for a full week.
Well, like you said, at least he's coming.
Yeah, he's coming. But no, it's just deer camp. It's just if you ever get a chance to go to a deer camp, go, but don't go in there with all the almighty, you know everything.
Drama.
No.
Nobody wants drama
No
at a deer
drama.
camp.
No, no, drama will kill a deer. I had drama here before, and there was a fist fight right next to where he's sitting, and those guys don't come anymore. They were them two. I wasn't involved in. It just went off.
Nah, I think screen timed out.
Oh,
We're good.
but anyways, karma will kill a deer camp. If you ever get invited to one, just help out and go in there with the mindset that you don't. You know, you're gonna have a good time, and
Come in with a good attitude. Like I said, if you've never experienced a deer camp, you know, I'm sure you know somebody in your social group that has a deer camp. Even to come up for a night
yeah,
and experience the deer camp life, the deer camp way of life.
yeah.
You know,
And even if you don't get, you can start your own with a tent somewhere with some guys.
Park
You know,
a
we
camper
could
somewhere, go
we could
camping.
sit here and talk to you till you're blue in the face
Absolutely.
until you experience what we're talking about. Then you'll know. I mean, yeah, you can hunt at home or you can hunt here, but going to a deer camp is what basically for me and probably these two is what it's all about.
absolutely.
And like I always said, I can kill deer down home, but it ain't about just killing deer. It's a camaraderie at deer camp. You know.
And that's huge. That's it. That's it in a nutshell right there. You know, and that's why, you know, like I said, from the bottom of our hearts, we want to thank you for opening up your doors to us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you spent all day out in the woods in 90-degree tropical humidity
Yep.
just to try to get us an opportunity to see a deer. I mean, like I said, I know Jake said the same thing. We come up here and we see deer, it's a success.
Yep.
Killing one, that's the icing on the cake.
Yep.
You know, and
And if I was a real nice guy, I'd let you hunt the ridge, but I can't.
no,
No,
you gotta
no,
keep
that's
that ridge. That ridge is
You got a
Yeah.
special spot there.
that's spoken for.
Yeah, that's
At
By
least,
higher powers.
at least until the 17th.
yeah. Yeah, he's been with me. It's hard to explain to the non-person that don't know, but you know, I'm 58 years old and I did shed a few tears over there the last few years killing a deer especially on the 17th. And like I told you, I was texting you from that blind. I haven't seen nothing, and all of a sudden, boom!
Haven't seen nothing. All of a sudden, he texts me, buck down. I'm like, son of a bitch, pulled it off again.
17th.
17th, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's certain places people have connections, and for you, that's it. You know?
He's sitting right with me. You know, there's been times hey Dad, I haven't seen none yet, and all of a sudden, boom, a deer pops out of nowhere. You know, so. No, I like to say if you appreciate it, if you went on my YouTube channel, Whitetail Warriors Deer Camp, I could use some followers, some support.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, share, subscribe all his videos.
subscribe.
He's got great content out there. So.
I will share his page in the link. Click on it, subscribe. You'd be doing us a favor and him a favor because we're all on the same team here.
Yep.
You know, we're out here trying to spread the word of, you
Deer
know,
camp.
to get people out and to just enjoy the outdoors the way we do because there's so much more to it than just killing an animal.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and you said we got almost 3,500 subscribers.
I got
You're
almost 1,600.
Yeah, I mean, you're growing leaps and bounds over the last year.
Yeah.
You know, and
I mean, I'm not the outdoor channel. I'll tell you that right now. I do the best I can. All I'm using is a cell phone and occasionally a camcorder. But I do all my editing and everything on my cell phone.
we like to say one of my favorite sayings. So we grew up watching hunting DVDs. You know, Real Tree, Primos. One of my favorite sayings is in the beginning of every Primos hunting DVD or VHS. This ain't Hollywood. It's the truth.
Yep.
And we live to that. You know, we show you the good, the bad, the ugly.
We don't have cameramen with us all the time.
And you know, our channel, we get a lot of comments, a lot of hate because you guys swear too much. You show me someone who's out hunting and harvested, a big buck, a little buck, a doe, and doesn't get excited, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You get excited, you're around camp, you're gonna be razzing your buddies, you're gonna be bullshitting. That's what it's about. You know, but definitely give him a like and a subscribe. Check out his deer camp videos. He's showing you what it's all about up here in the UP. And appreciate you as always. And stay tuned for the next one.